Welcome to another edition of Lostlikemike. I am your host. Mike Gonzales, and thanks for joining me. This is episode 6, and so I've been doing it. I'm keeping going, doing episodes every week. And I feel like it's pretty therapeutic. I feel like I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot, and I'm trying to be a little bit more positive. I'm being as real as possible, and a lot of times that means that I'm talking about things that I'm uncomfortable with, or mental states that I'm uncomfortable with, and I sometimes want to second guess that, because that's part of being real too, is wondering whether or not you look too far behind the curtain and people see themselves, and maybe they don't find that to be so enjoyable, and so then maybe they don't want to listen. That's the train of thought, or the fear anyway. But I'm going to just continue to do what I do, because the motivation is still the same, that I need to get these things out of my head. And it's funny, because on this path of self-awareness, I feel like anytime that you're looking inward, or I feel like the challenges seem to multiply a little bit at first. And I feel like that's really where I'm at right now, is where I feel hyper conscious of my eccentricities, and it's bothersome a little bit. A lot of housekeeping this week, but we'll do it together. So I did come out with my book, everybody. That is the big first one, and I'll try to navigate the lighting a little bit. Messy Pinky Puppy Needs a Bath. And it's a real tangible book. I'm really proud of it. It came out really good. I will admit that when you ever see somebody in a marathon, what I call the marathon, and if you've never been in a marathon, or maybe you have, if you have, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a point towards the end of the final leg of the run, when you see the finish line and you just want to get past it. It's almost like, that there's 50 yards or whatever it is, and you almost forget to put one foot in front of the other. You just want to somehow, hell or high water, get to that finish line. And that's what I felt like. I had this plan in place, tactical plan of marketing and doing these things ahead of time. And I had read cautionary tales of self-publishers getting a little anxious and maybe skipping through a few of the check steps at the end of the checks and balances, trying to figure things out at the end, and just posting it, or publishing it, or printing it. And sure enough, that's what I did. So the reason why I say it like that, like I and obviously I'm giving a little bit of foreshadowing. Okay, before I get into the nightmare that has ensued since, which, that's gonna pique some folks' interest. I published the book. I'm very proud. I posted on Facebook or in social media platforms, and announced to the world that it was available, which it is. It's available. By the time this is uploaded, it'll be back on Amazon on paperback form, at least. I'm not publishing the ebook until my friend who is formatting the electronic version of the book, the digital version, gets me the newly formatted book tomorrow. Well, anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's think clearly and talk it out. Okay, so I was very humbled and very touched by the outpouring of support that I received, not only from immediate friends and family, but the public in general. It was pretty nice to have all the well wishes and the congratulations. I suppose people really do know how hard it is to take on a project such as this and follow it all the way to the end. I like to think that if writing a book was the game, if it was like a video game, then getting it onto print to order sites such as Amazon and Ingram Spark would be like the final bosses. Like when you're playing a game and you fight the final boss. And I had talked about in the past there being hoops to jump through, and at every turn the goal being moved a little further down. So this was nothing new, but actually getting the files formatted and I still haven't published on Ingram Spark because of that. There was just hurdles, but the same with Amazon, but not as hard. Amazon, there were some sizing issues with the documents and just a little manipulation and toying. And like I said, obviously the proof's right here. The thing was that I went through an editor, a professional editor. I had edited it myself. Did it. I had gone over the document myself, and I went through it, pretty painstakingly, bit by bit, to the point where I could not even look at the words in the manuscript anymore. I was so tired of seeing the same words over and over, trying to think of images to draw and create, right? So I hired, with special thanks to Fiverr for supplying excellent editor. It's so weird because you can't even give them credit on the book for editing. It's like against the Fiverr policy. So all I can say is she was from abroad and very nice and thorough. And her manuscript, the edit that she sent back to me was just perfect. She found some odds and ends that she pointed out to me was very constructive. And all right, so the point being that all I did was take her edited document and go to my artwork and type in the words manually. And when I was done with that, I took the edited document with a highlighter, and I went page by page, which was my intent to make sure that it matched the text that was on the artwork that was formatted onto the book would be on the that matched the edited version. But like I said, I was just burnt of looking at the same document. Somewhere in the final stage, I must have thought I did it, went through the whole document. It doesn't matter because there was, long story short, there's errors in the first printed document, on the first printed books that came out. They're print to order, so I caught it within enough time that I've been able to contact several of the people that purchased the book out the gate. And if anybody is a viewer or a listener to this podcast that has been following along, that purchased the book, email me, lostlikemike@gmail.com, and I'll message you back. We'll get you the correct copy. It's kind of cool in a sense because there was a limited number that purchased it prior to me catching it and freezing it. And as we speak right now, I'm reloading it with the corrections made. And it wasn't anything major, but the reason why I say it's kind of cool is almost like I have this copy in my hand right here that has the errors in it. And you know, like when you mint a coin or something and there's a little error, nobody has it but, you know, like a couple. So in that sense, it's kind of funny to have this, but it's also at the same time quite embarrassing. And I need to find those that purchased the book prior to me shutting it down. I'm sure that it was just friends or family or acquaintances or people that within that first initial burst of promotion. So anyway, I hope that I do find them. But if not, you know, the sales weren't off the charts out the gate, so it'll be okay. So I'm so nervous to actually hit the publisher paperback now because of that. I mean, I really went through with a fine-tooth comb. I went over everything that could have been wrong, but I was driving home from work and got the phone call, hey, found a typo in your book. And I just thought, man, what a nightmare. You know what I mean? And I was about to do a full court press marketing campaign because this podcast and stuff, I want it to grow organically, and I don't really want to, I want to get better at doing it and knowing my voice and all that kind of stuff. But for this book, I really want people to get it. As nervous as I am about people judging it and what have you. So I was about to do a really hard push, and I could just imagine if I was having to apologize or ask for the books back or what have you on a large scale, that would have been woof. That would have been awful. But anyway, it's here. It's a nice, I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty cool. It is what it is. I'm just going to publish it. Sorry. Okay. So, interestingly enough, Amazon is really good about their publishing program. They're uploading your book and all that. It's apples to oranges to all these other different ones that I've gone through, but it's by far the easiest so far. Okay, so now I can open my other document that had my notes. Thank you for all those that subscribe. Thanks for telling a friend, and for the comments and the emails. I really appreciate that. Yeah, family and friends that I didn't even hadn't talked to in a while, friends, former coworkers, stuff like that, reaching out. I didn't even know how to respond. So I post the first one, and it's weird when it's your own stuff. I took classes on digital marketing and promotion, and I posted the announcement regarding it, and my cousin hit me up and was like, dude, like, you're doing all of these things wrong. And I'm very, and thanks to him, I appreciate it. But yeah, it's been a learning experience, everything about it. You feel like, you think, if people knew how difficult the entire process was for me. And now that's not to say that it's a difficult process. And it's this important distinction. I'm not saying that the things that I've done are insurmountable. I wonder sometimes when you see sports figures or people in competitions, and they seemingly do very mundane things, like the purpose of the game is to get a touchdown or to make a basket, and then they freak out, like just huge celebrations and beating the chests or whatever it is, and super excitement. But then I sometimes think, wow, how over the top your celebration is. But sometimes I think, I get it if I was them, because whatever simple task they did, to me, is just it's just the hugest challenge ever. I almost want to, when I hit publish, want to, oh, let's go, beat my chest and be like, that's what I'm talking about, because by all accounts, I shouldn't be able to do anything. If at every hurdle, every small thing would just be like another pain in the butt, discouraging event. Something as simple as I bought this adapter, right, to do a USB to hook up to the iPad, because the intention is to get the episodes onto a thumb drive to clear up space, because I don't even use the iCloud, but I've just, apparently my couple shows have taken up all the space in the universe of my iPad. So anyway, I thought, well, I'm going to use this converter that I was going to use for the audio from my that had that type of jack on the one side, and it had is a converter to go to the iPad, that I was going to use that to upload onto the thumb drives. But here's the problem, that if you Google loading files onto a thumb drive from an iPad, it says that you need a lightning charger to do that. Stop me if you've heard this one, but yeah. Anyway, so I went on to Amazon to order the correct one so that I could do this process, and I waited all week, and I finally got it, and I ordered the wrong one. I ordered the one with the iPhone jack at the end. One of the one with the little non-universal little baby iPhone one. So it's useless. So I'm gonna have to send it back. And that's such a small thing. But when compounded by a phone call saying that your published book that multiple people bought copies of was incorrect and you have to do returns, or rather send corrected copies to these people, it just was a lot all at once. But sometimes I'll be done with a night of singing and think, man, if you all only knew how hard it is to sing for me. I mean, there's people that could just sing the grocery list and they would have a hit record. Or they wake up in the morning and it's like, good morning, how you doing? And they could be like in a musical in their daily life. And that's not me, you know what I mean? It takes effort, and that's in every aspect of what I do. I work hard at whatever accomplishment. So when I have something such as this, a tangible product that I created from nothing to something, to me it's a huge deal, because I remember having conversations on a drive, and I was with my in-laws, and we were driving through some small shops in a small town, and saying that I wanted to write a children's book. This was a long time back, right? I remember, and spitballing it as this, the original story was completely different than this, and actually there's aspects of it that's going to be on the next one that I'm writing right now. But I remember not knowing where to start, just brainstorming the concept of wanting to have a book inspired by my daughter's colorful character and the way that she was and the way that she is. But back then, the way that she would be about her playtime and everything. And I remember not knowing the first thing about children's books, about illustrations, about how to transfer pictures onto a book, what language to use, etc., etc. And even when I was in college, I was drafting these versions and trying. So that was in 2020, and I had a version of a story that it had myself and my daughter in it, and it came out a little bit more of a love letter from me to her, and less as a children's book, less as a open and shut story. But even then, it was a trial of learning a little baby bit, and then I got an iPad, and way back, like here, I'm going to talk about my brother Chuck again. So my brother Chuck was an artist, and he had his own style, and it was something that I loved about him, was that he had his own signature style, and he was into digital art, and I've always, we were both artists, but I was analog and he was digital, right? I love pencils and charcoals and color pencils, watercolors, that kind of stuff. And he got down early in technology with digital art. I never messed with it. He could do Pro Tools, stupid. He could do, what's that program? Put it in the comments, but he used to make photographs with me hanging out with Brad Pitt, and he would superimpose me in the picture. This was way back when this was like, I used to want to have a business with him to set up at parties and like conventions and stuff, because he was so good at putting people into different scenarios, like in photographs. Now it's kind of like green screens and everybody does it and it's all whatever, but he was so talented and I used to watch him like zoom in and do like the pixels and the whole bit, but I was never down with it. So he had this one, I guess, drawing pad that was for a computer, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. I didn't know it was passed on to me after he passed away, and to be honest, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know how to use it. I didn't know anything. So, but it sparked something in me, through my early research of illustrations. Everybody kept beating at me, saying that Apple products were the way to go in terms of creative endeavors. And if anybody's on the fence, it's pretty user-friendly as far as the creative stuff's concerned. And this is not an advertisement, but being able to airdrop between my phone and my iPad, I've been able to do a lot of quick edits and submissions to different things. It's been, pretty cool. But anyway, so Photoshop, San Antonio, Photoshop. I was really good at Photoshop. But yeah, so when I was doing my research, I came upon Procreate, which is the software for your iPad, where you use it as a drawing board, and you get this little film that's on top of it, and you get this pencil that that has some weight to it, and you can draw with it. But knew nothing about it, about how it works or nothing. As far as I was concerned, you drew a picture, and you would somehow color it. Like, you would just click on some colors. So I purchased it. I purchased the software, purchased the iPad. Started YouTubing how to do it. Flash forward in a little bit of context. Procreate is great for graphic arts. It's great for images and doing things. And I used to do tutorials on YouTube. Okay. I used to watch them and do the art, following the artist to learn about it. And there's a lot to it. I've been thinking about doing on this next book, doing a start to finish follow along video series, YouTube series, where I share what I learned and maybe learn more, but share what I've learned and go from creation, from writing to illustrating. But yeah, it's pretty fascinating. There's layers on Procreate, but where you start off with one image and you put several layers on top of it, and you can manipulate the layers without affecting the ones underneath. And this may be super boring to some people, but it's just what's on my mind tonight, so I apologize. It's what's going on. feel free to tap out at any given moment. If you find it interesting, if you find it insightful, God bless you. Let's go. But every time I say let's go, I always picture the beating of the chest and yelling. And I started sketching the main character, and I must have gone through 100 different versions. I used to like the Mickey Mouse. The first Mickey Mouse was my favorite, with the black eyes, where it wasn't like the big white circle with the white dot in it. So that's a little behind the scenes. That's why I picked that style of eyes, because that was the kind of... And I also have to show you something. Somehow, I ended up with 3 drinks. I'm sure there's an interesting story in there somewhere, but I just didn't want them to go to waste, so I've collected them. And anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked. So the story itself came up, and it was a very stark difference from the first version. I had this play on words that popped in my head one day, where I said Stinky Pinky takes a bath, right? And it was that rhyming scheme that Stinky Pinky takes a bath. Stuck in my head, so I started wanting to write a story about that. And to be completely honest, my daughter didn't like the idea of being stinky. She thought that was just the worst idea ever. And I would tell her, honey, but the rhyming, she didn't care. And after a while, I didn't like it either, because I didn't like the prospect of, well, stinky was such just a foul word. So I went with messy Pinky, and that she loves to get messy. But I wrote the story, and I thought a children's book is quite dense. It's only through, again, the research. I have on my phone right now 28 pages of, I guess, what you call that I went through in my history box that are just concerning the book. 28. And that's having deleted some, adding some, deleting some. Right now there's 28 that see, if you're watching this on video, you're looking at me trying to find my phone so that I could show you the 28 when I'm filming with my phone. So that's dumb, but whatever. But yeah, so there was this one girl, and I should find out her name. I ended up subscribing to her YouTube channel because she was the one that I did a search, and there was this girl who said, illustrate your book with Procreate. Turns out that there's programs like InDesign and Adobe Acrobat that are more tailored towards book illustrations, right? And those are just to name a few that I don't know anything about, that I didn't go down that rabbit hole because I saw this girl and she said, illustrate your book with Procreate. So I said, okay, I will. And then come to get to the end of the book, and I uploaded it the way that she suggested to do it, and it worked, short of, like I said, a little bit of issue with the last bit of sizing, but she definitely got me in the ballpark. She definitely got me a seat at the table. But it completely didn't work for Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is like Amazon for people that want to order the books for brick and mortar stores, as well as print to order. So they're the ones that are going to get me in Barnes and Nobles and I don't know, wherever else. I'm throwing a blank right here, but there's a list if you go to their Ingram Spark. But they want a particular file style for both the ebook and for the paperback version, because they hold their standard to this. They don't want to mess with having to convert anything. That's what the website said, that they want it formatted already. So all you have to do is just sit back and let it happen. And, there's certain aspects to it that I was kind of like, I'm not really into. But from the first days of dealing with that videos with the girl, and I started making these templates that she suggested, and I storyboarded it, and here's one of the things where you're an author kind of learning as you go, and doing research as you go, because I had it in my mind that I was supposed to illustrate every page, right? I had already found out that children's books were going to be roughly 800 to 900 words for the age group that I was going for picture books, and that the standard industry standard is 32 pages. So in my mind, I'm like, dang, that's 32 pictures. And then to find out that there's like the cover page, right? And then there's also a dedication page and a copyright page. Look how cute. If you're just listening at home, I put a photograph of my daughter wearing the Pinky outfit, the Pinky Puppy outfit. Come on. I'd buy the book just for that. Just kidding. Anyway, so yeah, instead of 32, I thought, well, 29 illustrations. Now, if any of you have kids' books in your home library for your kiddos, you know that some kids' picture books don't have pictures every page. I didn't know that, but I give more bang for the buck because I did 29 full illustrations. And then I divvied up the story accordingly. And then just spent however long it's been. Gosh, I should write this stuff down. I guess several months at least. I believe I was doing the book even before I had lost my job. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like I've been working on the artwork of it for the longest part. And it's so interesting to see the progression, because when I first started doing the art, and somewhere in the middle, I went back to the beginning, because I kept saying I need to have consistent imagery where I wanted the whole book to sort of be cohesive. And so obviously it's not going to be, if she's got a tiny stain of syrup on her dress here, I don't want, and it's not on this one. I didn't want it to be micro, but I didn't want it to be out in left field. So anyway, midway through of these illustrations, I went back to the beginning with fresh eyes, or with eyes that hadn't looked at those initial images for a while. And I had seen how much I'd progressed in by working on it every night and every day, every chance I had, doing these illustrations, that I had legitimately gotten better at doing it all, which meant that I had to go back to the beginning and reapproach a lot of those initial images again. But it's been like a growing experience where, I felt like there was definitely a progression where I felt like I was more comfortable with the program. And this is prior to me even, knowing that it wasn't something that was going to be easily print ready and all this other stuff. But and like I said, I really went hard on the edit. There's a published writer that I became acquaintanced with. I hope that's the right way to say it. I met him through my previous job, and he's a published author, and he is one that suggested that I really push it and try to get my book written. And when I sent him the draft, he was like, just make sure you get an editor before you start sending out to literary agents. He said, minor details here and there, check it out, please. So, well, there you go. Perfect. I met him before I left the job. So it was soon after that I submitted the draft to him. So yeah, I've been working on the illustrations since March. Yeah, so April, May, June, July, and to now. Maybe a little bit, yeah, somewhere around there. But, and like I said, every day working on it bit by bit. But, so I decided to hire a professional editor to review the document. And I had several people looking at it as well, trying to look to the content of it, the structure, but also like the storyline, and the editor did a full court press on it, and she really didn't feel like a lot needed to be. She didn't want things to be cut. She liked the story itself, but it was kind of eye-opening to see somebody rip apart, so to speak, something that you thought was ready to go. I think that's what was deceptive about it, because her edit was so thorough and so complete that when I was moving the information to the illustrations, I was just certain it was all perfect, because it is on paper perfect. But we're fallible, we're human. So I just, like I said, got tired at the end, really wanted to put it up, which I'm fine now. It's going to be back out, and it's hella better for it, whatever. And I'm super proud of it, no matter what. Even with the mistakes, I was still proud that I got it out and did it. And it's so funny, because now I understand what they said on the article when they said, and it's hard when you're a self-published author to not put it out, to hold off and do your marketing campaign first and then put the book out, because you just want it done, dude. You just want it out of your mind onto a paper, onto the program. You have this entity that will take your vision and your hard work and will create an actual product. But everything on here, from from the publisher, the barcode, the ISBN number, the what's it called? All of this, the publisher's cataloging, publication data, the copyright. I mean, every single part of it just didn't come out of nowhere. I had to Google it, YouTube it, find sites, find whether to try for a literary agent or to get a publisher. Should I not? Should I self-publish? How to get into brick and mortar stores? How to get into online? Is it the right direction to go? Just every single little baby bit that we take for granted when we see books in the 99-cent shelf or whatever. I used to see them. I see them all the time at garage sales where families will sell them or whatever. But yeah, so I definitely would like to do a video showing how all these things were able to get done. But this whole year has been about that for me. Not only taking chances, but being vulnerable and saying, hey, judge me for this, judge me for that. For the podcast, you don't have 1 million viewers and listeners, judge me. Oh, he's doing the content for himself, so sometimes he's really wicked, awkward, and sometimes it's he spends a whole episode talking about his book. He puts out a children's book, of all things, slaps his name on it, and posts it out to where professionals can read it, on his LinkedIn profile, so his colleagues at work will judge him, be vulnerable. And all the while never feeling more like I'm floating in space, like the person that I am is just this conscious creature that's just floating out here trying to figure it out, and scared and uncertain and freaking out every day, and trying to find the balance between making life on this planet matter and make sense, and finding importance in doing projects and taking them out of being just thoughts or ideas and making them happen in reality, because time is passing and we are just out here trying to make our time matter in this plane of existence, all the while trying to figure out if that's enough. But I think all I can really say is for myself, doing this book was very therapeutic. It was very confidence building, and I'm very proud of it. And I had other things to talk about today, but this is on my mind right now, and getting it out into the world it's a really big deal. So if you go on to Amazon, if you tell your friends if you if you want to put it out there. It was a really hard thing to do, and if people knew, they would get it. Then it would be a big deal to share that. And hopefully, we'll write the next one, and I'll start that video thing. Thank you to everybody that reached out and were beta readers, and made suggestions and whatnot. It was very helpful. Somehow we have to make every day matter, and somehow we have to live life to the fullest. And whether that's writing a book, doing a podcast, recording music, making a painting, whatever it is, doing your job well and with passion, whatever it is, we need to figure it out, and we need to do it as often as possible, for as long as possible. And that's the takeaway that I'm kind of, feeling on this particular day. So I'll try to figure it out. I've heard people say in the past, I'm going to try to put a link on the below to check out the book. Next week we'll talk about a whole bunch of different things. We'll get back to normal, or not. Maybe we'll just talk about whatever you want. Just I appreciate everybody that comes and listens to this podcast. I'm not going to stop recording the podcast. I may revisit the idea of I think they're going to start coming out on Saturdays, because I've been trying to get it out by Friday, and it just isn't happening. So I may record them and post them, and then they load by Saturday morning. So we might say every Saturday, look for new episodes of Lostlikemike, and we'll gain listeners 1 week at a time. And let me know if there's things that you want to talk about. Let me know if there's things topics you want to explore, aspects of who I am, or that you want to see if there's reflections of who you are. And I want to talk about shows to watch and what my guilty pleasures are. I know we've spent the whole episode talking about the book, and I don't want to start talking about other things right now, but right now, one of my guilty pleasures is Reservation Dogs. I love that show on Hulu. It's just real down to earth, real down. It's real down to earth. It's about you should check it out. It's about this group of young kids living on a reservation and wanting to get out in the first season. So no spoiler if they do or not, but I like the sense of humor. Bill Burr's on it a couple episode, and Bobby Lee's on an episode. I think they're coming back this season, but they're it's just a simple show. It's nothing too crazy as far as no heavy, super heavy, heady topics, but at the same time, it'll make you feel a little bit for them, for the characters, and root for them. And anyway, but yeah, I'd like to talk about shows to watch, and because it's such a part of, I don't get to sit down really and watch shows. I'll have it playing and I'll listen to it while I'm driving sometimes if I'm not listening to a podcast. Or on my lunch hour, like I'll watch a little bit of a show. And or maybe music that's blowing your mind, you want me to check out, or I've kind of been tapping out of world issues. I just, too much, my body's physiologically interpreting stress and anxiety in very real ways right now. And so I don't like inundating myself with too many heavy things. And it might be a little bit of avoidance there, or denial of, but it's just the reality. Like the whole book thing, I'm probably have to post something about people reaching out that purchased the book so that I can get them copies of the corrected book. And even that just is exhausting physically. And I feel the anxiety, the panic, or whatever, overwhelming. So, yeah, but if there's any topics that you want to talk about, concerns, life, questions, whatever it is, lostlikemike@gmail.com, or the comments below. Either way, I appreciate and thank everybody for listening to the program, to this rant of free-flowing consciousness that is unfiltered, and today probably unedited, because this was just a monologue of where I'm just talking about one thing and didn't use too many bad words, or any, really. Anyway, take care, live your best life, and and I will talk to you next week, okay? God bless, take care. Bye.